Good afternoon, handy viewers, such as you are. Welcome to this, the second in my series of Ratcatcher Guild previews, and this time we have a look at the second model that will be available to the Morticians as well as the Ratcatchers in the form of Skulk. Now this is a model that, unlike every other one of these reviews that I've had the pleasure of doing for you, is one that I have had a reasonable amount of games with, as he has appeared in pretty much every single one of my Morticians lineups ever since SteamCon, and I'm a huge fan of him for a number of reasons, many of which you can see in the interview I did with friend of the channel, Jamie Perkins, at the end of Don't Touch the Beard 19, as we sort of went in. Now, admittedly, that was at SteamCon itself, so we'd only just seen the cards, or rather, I'd only just seen the cards. Presumably, Jamie had seen them beforehand, what with, you know, his game and all. Partially, no, not just his, you know what I mean. But he's not left my opening six from the Morticians ever since. But before we get to that, let's have a look, as ever, at the model. Or in this case, models. So yeah, this is an odd situation in that we find ourselves with two versions of the same model before one of them has even been released. I mean, that's quite usual, but you get what I mean. You know, we've had Skulk. To give you a little bit of history, if you're unaware for whatever reason, he came out of a design a model seminar from SteamCon 2016 and was tweaked and moved around and generally polished up before being presented to us as a Morticians Guild member at SteamCon 2017, during which it was revealed that the Ratcatchers Guild would be a thing, that minor guilds would be a thing, and the internet got suitably excited in a way that only the internet can. So on the left-hand side, we have the original, I believe, 3D sculpted model that was born of SteamCon 2016, painted by Trent Dennison. If I am wrong, please correct me in the doobly-doo, and I will put a thing up on screen with the correct artist's name roundabout nowish. If it's not there, presume that I was right. I believe it's Trent. And this is not the metal one. This is not the one that was given out in SteamCon, although the sculpt is the same. And on the right-hand side, we have the new plastic version of Skulk, which will be available, I believe, around Salute 2018, judging by all the various traders that have got pre-orders up and their times. Of course, I don't think... actually, no, an email has gone round. I remember seeing an email this morning, actually, from SteamCon, from Steamforge, saying that this would be available. Anyway, rambling. Painted by Angel, or Angel, or however that should be pronounced. And again, apologies for my hideous butchering of your delightful language, Spaniards such as you are. I really, really like both of these models. It's a weird thing to say. I want to see the back of the new plastic one, because one of the things I love about the metal one on the left-hand side is, if you've not got this model, there are loads of little noses peeking out from the wicker basket. I think it's well cute. Less so the rat carcasses hanging from his belt, but there we go. The idea that we learned from Sherwin's address at SteamCon 2017 that Skulk is incredibly superstitious and therefore has lots of metal buckles, so he can touch iron. An actual medieval superstition that iron wards away evil spirits. I like that on both models he has a variety of knickknacks and doodads to ward away evil in his mind. That, you know, the two Ratcatchers staffs that he's got are of different design, but you know, they get the idea across in both instances. I like his sort of makeshift ramshackle nature of his armor and van braces, and particularly on the model on the left, I like the waders that he has for going through the sewage. He's just got a simple set of gaiters on the one on the right. Perhaps this is his more Guild Ball-y uniform as opposed to his rat catching uniform. Not that they're that different, but I really like the little rat that's peeking out from over his shoulder on the plastic model on the right hand side. And of course, it is fair to say that the model does bear a certain resemblance to one Jason Mountain of Singled Out podcast fame. Right, the model itself, or rather the rules themselves. Unlike Pelage, straight away 14 wounds, nice. 40mm Goalkeeper, and with a 2-inch melee zone. These things leap off the card for me. I don't know if you're the same, but certainly that was the case for me. 5/7 move is very, very nice. attack 6, 2-6 kick, def 4-1, influence 2-3, all of which I really, really like as a solid stat line. Now, as stated in my Pelage video, for Skulk, my main focus at this point will be in Morticians, because that's where I've used him, that's probably where my interest lies for continuing to use him. So, the comparison here, oddly, well, initially with that stat line, is kind of gassed, as he's the only model that can be applied, aside from mascots, that can only be assigned 3 influence, and has that 2-inch melee zone. That is where the comparison ends, apart from the sort of attack level. As that 4-1 defense is nice. It's nice to see the mythical average defense within Guild, particularly when you've got players like Cosset running around on 4 rows, and the 3s and 1s, etc., that we normally used to, and a decent amount of health, which is nice to see. 2-6 kick is sadly pretty average, I think, for Morticians, at least in the lineups that I use. Not a great footballing side without assistance. The playbook is an odd one, but I like it. Non-momentous 1 on 1. Momentous double dodge on 2 or a tackle on 2 is nice. Similar, having that non-momentous tackle on 2, just like Pelage does. Guild Ball symbol for pest control, momentously on 3, as long as a momentous 2 on 3. Tackle double dodge on 4 is lovely. Not exactly, sort of striker usage, but it's a nice result to see, as it's unanswerable, pretty much, depending on how board placement is gone. The very strange momentous double dodge single push on 5 and momentous 3 on 5, and a knockdown right at the top of the playbook on 6. A non-momentous one at that. It's a really strange playbook, but I like it, and I can't really say why. I think principally it's not the momentous damage on 1, although there will be occasions that it's useful when it comes up. It's always nice to have. Tackle on 2 is nice, especially for a 2-inch melee zone model. The double momentous dodge on 2 is nice. I really like the pest control on 3, because what I tend to find, I've been using Skulk as quite a passive player. I've been using him primarily as a battery. I've very rarely given him more than 1, because just to put up horrific odor. But where that pest, more often than not, that pest control, I've never paid for it. It's usually come on parting blows. So when people have dodged out or tried to leave his melee zone, getting that parting blow, attack 8 against 4s and 1s, you're looking, you're in a reasonable chance to either get the double dodge, which is going to be absolutely no use, or to perhaps get that pest control up to get that nice 2-inch bubble of -1, -2 kick, combined with horrific odor, is really, really nice anti-striker tech. Particularly when you turn to the back of his card and you have a look at the 2 abilities, Follow Up, Lightning Reflex, and Poise. A free counter-attack is fantastic. It really, really ends those kick-off pressure, vitriol, velocity style goal, alloy, I suppose, style goals. It doesn't negate it entirely. I'm not saying that for a second, in the same way that like Compound's Gluttonous Mass can do. But it really, really helps with it, and it really, at least, it applies itself to your opponent's mental bandwidth as to whether or not they should be going in to try that very, very familiar kickoff pressure tactic that we have all either used or seen used against us. If you've got no idea what I'm talking about, I can highly recommend the Guild Ball Gotchas video. I think it's the first Guild Ball Gotcha video that Vincent Kirchhoff produced, where he talks about Vitriol's kickoff pressure, and it is a very, very viable tactic indeed. So whilst Skulk doesn't have a dilemma mechanic, as such, he does kind of add to your opponent's mental bandwidth, which is an expression that I use a lot, and hopefully by now people get what I mean. If you don't, what I'm sort of referring to there is it's giving your opponent more to think about than perhaps they would do under normal circumstances. So it might not be, it's not the poster child dilemma mechanic like that we've seen with Pelage, where they either choose snared or damage, but it's certainly adding to the thought that your opponent has to put into playing against you, which I, when I'm using Morticians, really, really like. Equally, if they are leaving your melee zone with the ball because they want to make a run on goal, that follow-up allows him to make a direct jog straight towards them after the parting blow, I believe, looking at the timing of it. Equally, that lightning reflex is if they have bounced in, charged in to try and bounce off to get that goal, that lightning reflexes of once per turn you're going with them goes a long way to negating that. And of course, if you have got a jog directly towards him. That's a 5-inch move, which should be able to get that pest control on that horrific odour straight back onto that striker, which I really, really like. Goal Rats is perhaps not the most intuitive of abilities, and I wish at this point I had the forethought to devise some sort of clever animation to demonstrate it. But I would go, if you're in any way confused, I'd have a look at the Rat Catchers group on Facebook, which has had an excellent discussion on Goal Rats, and also the Lawyers Guild forums on the steamforged.com's forum page to see the exact ruling on when Goal Rats works. To give you a very, very quick, brief rundown, it is as follows: that if your opponent makes a shot on goal and misses the goal, if the ball scatters and its ball path takes it into direct contact with the goal so that it stops, at that point, Skulk's friendly rats will pick the ball up and take it to him if he is within a 6-inch aura of the ball, not the goalpost. This happens, again, I believe, I would encourage you to go and check this either on the Rat Catchers group on Facebook, which is a lovely little burgeoning community, it has to be said, or the Lawyers Guild on the Steamforged forums. I believe that happens before that would snap to any other player within an inch. But again, that is my recollection of it. I must admit I haven't checked before we come to do this video. Perhaps I should have done. I believe that's the case. Please do go and have a look. And if I am wrong or if I am right, please to be confirming in the doobly-doo below. So at this point, I would normally sort of wax lyrical about why I'm excited to get this guy on the pitch, which of course I have done. And if you've watched my videos with Straw and Parker over at the Battlehammer, you've seen me use him on multiple occasions. God, I am dropping names left, right and centre today. Beautiful. Like I said, I find him very, very useful as a battery. I might put 1 on him. The only time I've ever put 3 on him was just on one occasion where I wanted to trigger fear on Straw's ghasts that I could put other people into him. So it was expensive at 3, but it was, for me, worthwhile at the time, so someone more useful could go in. He is an ideal goalkeeper as far as I'm concerned. I have a kind of I have a love relationship with goalkeeper models in the game. If the guild that I'm using has a goalkeeper model, the chances are I will use it. But I subscribe to the theory that you don't put a goalkeeper in against a team that is looking to win by 3-0, purely because the Sharks of this world will have enough tech to deal with whatever goalkeeper, whether it's sort of tenderizer or compound, that you're dropping in to try and counter that. I don't think the traditional goalkeepers in the game do enough to counter the more traditional goal-scoring teams. I have once tried the double keeper lineup. It didn't go very well in my engineers against Jumpers for Goalpost 3, I believe that game was. It didn't go very well, it's fair to say. And I'm not going to be looking to try it again at any point, mainly because I'm not playing engineers, but also just it didn't do enough for me. So I don't tend to put down goalkeepers against heavy football teams. I think Skulk is the exception to that, purely because I like what he does elsewhere. I think a combination of pest control and horrific odour might be enough, combined also with follow-up and lightning reflexes, to really put off the Midases and Sharks of this world, although that remains untested. I don't see a lot of Midas, I don't see a lot of Shark these days, despite living very close to and playing regularly Mr. Connor Rooney, who's a huge fan of Shark, and also a chap called Steve Cole, who's recently sort of risen in the London Guild Ball scene as a very, very deft alchemist player, it has to be said. But I'm wittering a little bit, as I do. The normal sort of traditional goalkeepers, just to sort of summarise my ramblings at this point, I wouldn't drop into a football team. I think Skulk does enough, and certainly more, to put off the goal-scoring game, and also does enough outside of the goal scoring game to try and do a little bit more. Momentous 2-on-3 isn't to be sniffed at, particularly if we're seeing singled out either from Dirge or Pelage, as he's now got that as well, or tooled up from Graves. There's potential for that to be useful, not as a significant beater, but certainly as a finishing piece, particularly with that 2-inch melee zone when you desperately need those final 2 VP just to finish the game off. I think he will get takeouts from time to time. Won't be frequently, but he will. Also, that playbook is, like I said, it's weird, but it's useful, and if you get the results you're after, could make a huge difference to your game. So I like him. He has the lineup I tend to find I run most these days in Morticians is Skulk, Casket, Brain Pan and Memory, and then someone else, usually Graves, for a bit of utility, but I have been known to drop Bonesaw or Silence in there, but that tends to be the lineup I like. I'm a big fan of Brain Pan and Memory just for his amazing playbook and damage output if ignored, and also his goal scoring potential. This is a Obulus and Dirge lineup, as I frequently prefer Obulus and Dirge over Scalpel, although I have been using Scalpel of late, and I am coming around on how I should be using her. And also, as I start playing a lot of new people, it's better to drop Scalpel rather than Obulus onto new people in their first demo evening, certainly. So yeah, he's made his way regularly into my lineups, and I think he's going to stay there for a little time being. How he works in rat catches, I have no idea at this point, as I think I said at the end of the Pelage video. I've got a reasonable idea of how Skulk works with Morticians, and I've enjoyed using him with Morticians, and I like what he brings to the team, in that he adds even more control and sort of tries to shut down the opponent's pressure as best he can. Equally, unlike Pelage, with a 2-inch melee zone and a double dodge on 2, he is perhaps one of the more defensive Morticians, which, considering their sort of on average low health, I'm a big fan of. So he adds a bit more resilience to the team, although that may not be firstly readily apparent. So there we are. There should be appearing on screen right about now a beard. Should you wish to subscribe and be notified the moment I upload any more of this nonsense, please to be clicking. Equally, should you have plenty of afternoon you wish to waste, there are playlists either side where you can see other content that I have, and inverted commas, produced. Perhaps you wish to have a listen while you're doing something more productive, like painting some miniatures or tidying your desk. As soon as I know more about the mat catches, I will do more of these as I find them interesting. Hopefully you do too, and until next time, as ever, handy viewers such as you are, I need a better outro.